questions ahead of the Brighton game. First part is embargoed until 2 o'clock, the second part till 10:30 this evening. We'll start with Rob Scanlon.
Good afternoon, Ralf.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to ask you how you're looking team news-wise, please, how you came through the weekend, whether you've got a few players back like Edinson or Fred, perhaps?
Yes, Fred will be available again and will also be part of the group for tomorrow. Edison is still out, the same with Nema. And the rest is Alex is back again in the squad. I think he already was part of the group for the Southampton game, but he will also be available.
Michael Gray.
Hi, Ralf. Ralf, you talked about the psychology side of things and the mental problems at the club. The player demands, are you asking too much of the players, or is it the players that need to raise their levels?
I don't know what you mean when I spoke about psychological things in the club. No, I mean, the situation is pretty clear. In 11 out of 13 games since I arrived, we scored the first goal and we were 1-0 up, but we didn't win all of them. And especially in the last 3 games, it was very sad that we didn't win those games because it cost us 4 points in the league and the next round in the cup. I think it's pretty obvious that the players are getting the ideas across the pitch. With every game, it goes better. After the Wolves game, I think it started with the 2 games against Aston Villa, and since then, the players understand and feel and how and why we are doing a good job. And now it's about doing that sustainably. For an entire game and for the entire game, and this is exactly what is our next step that we have to take. The first halves in the last couple of weeks have been really good, very good. I'm more than happy with the performance that we had in the first half. We didn't concede a single goal in the last weeks in the first half. But as I said, the next step is to raise our level and to stay focused physically, mentally, tactically. We just gave away those goals too easily. If I look into all those goals that we conceded in the second half, it was just too easy, and it was also our own mistakes that we made to allow the other teams to score.
Simon Stone.
Hi, Ralf. I hope you're okay. You've got kind of 2 jobs at the moment. You obviously have to manage the team, but then you're going to offer advice to the club when you've finished. I wouldn't expect you to tell me any of that at the moment, but are you forming in your mind an idea of what Manchester United should be and what needs to be done in order for the club to be what it wants to be? Because clearly, however this season works out, finishing 4th in his best case scenario is not what Manchester United want.
Right now, this is exactly what Manchester United needs to want, to finish 4th in the league. I think this is the highest possible achievement that we can get. There is no other things. Yes, the Champions League, hopefully to proceed into the next round in the Champions League, which is also not an easy one. But in the league currently, it's number 4. That's our ambition. This is what we have to achieve and what we are aiming at. And about next season, yes, obviously, after having been here now for 10 or 11 weeks, of course I know what it takes for next season, but it's not the time now to discuss this with anyone. My full focus is on tomorrow, and then Sunday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Champions League. And the next couple of weeks, and I think this is the only thing to deal with the current situation is full focus on the current squad, getting the best out of this season, and then after that there is time to speak about next steps for next season or for the next couple of years.
Andy Newton.
Hello, Ralf. You mentioned last week about how it might be a psychological, mental issue as to why your players might not be doing as you'd hope, especially in the second half after those good first halves. You brought a psychologist in. Is this an area which he could influence?
Well, what I said, I mean, this is pretty obvious. If you are 1-0 up in the last couple of games, as I said, 11 out of 13, but we only won half of them. Obviously, when you're 1-0 up and in 3 consecutive games concede an equalizer, that this also affects the mind of the players, that they say, well, we should have been 3-4-0 up or 2-0 or 3-0 up, and all of a sudden it's 1-1. That this affects also the mindset of players is obvious. I mean, they are still human beings. They are no robots, which is normal. But we should still, of course, there are two things. Number one is we have to be, more effective to score a second and a third goal and just kill the game off. This is number one, and I think we create enough chances to do that. But even if this does not happen, then just stick to the game plan, stay solid, stay tactically disciplined. And this is the other issue that we have to achieve. And this is what I mean by taking the next step. But obviously, if you concede that goal, and you should have been like at Burnley or against Middlesbrough or even now against Southampton. We could have been 2-3-0 up against Southampton, but we weren't. And if you then concede an early goal into the second half, I think everybody can understand that this affects also, the confidence of the players. And yes, of course, I spoke with Sasha about that, and we regularly speak about that. And the only thing that we can do is speak to players one by one, to the group, to the whole team, and explain to them why we conceded the goal and what we should do afterwards in order to maybe score a second or a third goal.
Gary Cottrell.
Hello, Ralf. Thank you for your time. You mentioned there that fourth is the best that United can hope for this season. So that's another season where the team hasn't really challenged for the title. You'll be the 5th manager where the team hasn't really seriously challenged for the title. All the managers seem to be getting the blame. All the other ones have got the blame. You're beginning to get some of the blame. Is it about time we stop blaming the managers and blamed what the players? You've got some great players, have had some great players at Manchester United for a very long time now.
Well, I don't know. If you look at the current table and the gap between not only us, also other teams like Tottenham, Arsenal, just name them, and the top 2 or 3 teams, there are probably some reasons why they are that far ahead. And yes, this is something to talk about and to discuss at the end of the season, end of May, June, and then take the right decisions. I'm not sure if it's about the players. From the last 10 weeks, I can tell you the players are ambitious. They work hard. They want to get better. They don't feel happy after a game like Burnley or Middlesbrough or now against Southampton. They want to win. And my job is to help them and show them a pathway how they can win games. This is my job right now. And all the other things, as I said, we need to discuss at the end of the season.
Last one in this section for Mark Brighton.
Hi, Ralf. Despite the disappointment of the results lately, Jadon Sancho has impressed. Are we starting to see the real Jadon on the pitch now? And I know you said you had one-on-one chats with him. Were they just about football or life away from football as well?
Well, Jadon, I've known Jadon since he was 17, when he still played in England. I contacted him and his agent when he was 17, some 4 years ago, and tried to convince him to join us at Leipzig. In the end, he decided to go to Dortmund and had a great time there. I mean, his development there was, he became one of the best wingers in the whole league, if not in Europe. And yes, the step to a club like Manchester United was a big one for anyone. For at the time 20-year-old, that was a massive, huge step. And that this takes time is normal for me. I think the style of football that we play, that we want to play, fits perfectly into his assets, into his strengths, coming from the left side. And yes, I also try to show him, give him my support, tell him that he should have a go, even in this league that is more physical and more competitive. And the same happened with other players who could or have played in those positions. And the same will hopefully happen in the next couple of weeks with a player like Marcus Rashford, who also did well in the last couple of weeks. This is what it's all about, to get the best out of players, let them play in their best possible position, and in this club also helping them to cope with the pressure, with the level of expectations that is different than when he came to Dortmund at the age of 17 or 18.